Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. And I'm really excited to interview again 33-year fire captain Matt Dankin on this very special anniversary of September 11th. And we just, first off, we just want to honor the people that lost their lives, that transitioned off of the planet on that day. There were firefighters, who were heroes. There was men and women who were heroes, just regular people trying to help each other, other Americans, and then those people that were in the buildings, the structures that were reduced to rubble on this day. So we just want to honor them, and I am going to do a guided prayer at the end of this interview. And Captain Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here with you again.
So let's first just talk about this anniversary and where were you when this happened, and where were you, what were you doing, and what did you think about it?
I was actually fighting a structure fire when it happened out in Livermore, mutual aid out in Livermore. So I had a structure fire. So I didn't actually started hearing glimpses of it, little pieces of it while we were on this fire. And then it wasn't until we got back to the station, probably by 9 a.m., something like that, that we started hearing all the news of what had happened. So we were a little late because we had been out on our job, fighting fires when it happened. So those of us, the crews that were out there, we were a little late. We didn't actually get to see anything live. But obviously we got to see everything after that. So
Yeah, I remember for myself, I was teaching a fitness class. I taught outside. I taught a boot camp class outside, and a lawyer client came in, and he said a plane just hit the twin buildings in New York, and I thought to myself, we didn't have television. We were working out outside. There was no phone or radio or anything like that. So I thought to myself, wow, somebody in a Cessna really messed up. I wonder if they had a heart attack while they were flying. I thought it was a small plane. I thought the person really made a big, something happened with their health, that they died and they accidentally hit the building. And then when I found out what happened, it was I just remember being in shock, and I went to church that night, and I'm not a churchgoer, and I just cried, and it was just very, very devastating. And then they had the footage going on for over 3 months, and I thought to myself, why do they keep showing this over and over again? The first time it happened, I sat there and stared and was in disbelief. But 3 months, 4 months later, they're showing the same footage over and over again, and I couldn't understand why. And then I thought to myself, and I can't remember exactly when, but at one point I was looking at the footage and I was thinking, and I was a fitness trainer, not a construction person, and I was thinking, how does a building that large fall down, straight down, and turn to rubble, turn to ash like that, and not very much like debris is like spread out in around the neighborhood. So that was just the thought. I didn't think anything else of it other than those two things, and didn't understand what was going on and why. But what was your take on, and when did you start questioning what was happening or what happened?
So yeah, I was shocked at first, and at first I actually believed it at the very first. I hate to admit it now because it seems ridiculous, but I did. I bought it for the first probably couple months, but it just too many questions started coming out that didn't make sense. Start looking at the way things are built, and if things are hit at a high up place, there's no reason that they would come down the way they came down, because all the steel, everything at the lower levels wouldn't be heated like that. It wouldn't be. And this is, I mean, these are they were newer buildings, and I mean the latest technology. And then there were many other things that just were obviously not correct. Like through all of that, this passport just happened to survive of one of the supposed perpetrators. So
Mhm.
there were many of those types of things that absolutely did not add up. And then footage started coming out about um, you know, a third one that came down later.
A third structure.
That came down later that same day, and there was footage of people they're talking about. We're going to pull it. So that
Uh,
was they were
they're going to
talking
pull the
about
footage.
yeah, they were talking about it coming down. And actually, the second structure that came down, I believe, was reported to have come down by the BBC before it actually came down. That was another one because I think they got the time change messed up. So there were multiple things and then so yeah, there were multiple things that I started looking into. And then I realized, oh my God. And then I went deep back then, and I don't have all the sources that I was using, but there was a lot of information. If you follow some of the money insurance being put on the buildings, and some people that had been in there that had supposedly workers working on the buildings, and things that it painted a pretty clear picture to me. Um, yeah, there were a lot of things. And just the way it all came down to powder, they wouldn't have been like that. There's no way it would have happened like that.
To
And right
powder.
into
Yeah.
their own, they looked exactly like as if it was going to be engineered and it was going to be done on purpose. That's exactly how it would come down in its own footprint like that.
Hmm.
That's how they would
Yeah.
come. And so in a controlled manner like that.
Yeah, so I just want to let everybody know we're trying to be a little stealth with our language because YouTube has taken down a video of mine that when I have done a video on this particular topic, and so we're just being a little stealth with our language and trying to get this information out. So Captain Matt, when you were looking at this and you were questioning things, well, first, before I ask you that question, I want to let everybody know that 45 days after this happened, they put through the Patriot Act. And I want to do a quick screen share on what that is because people may hear, oh, the Patriot Act, but really, what is that? This is the Patriot Act. This is from the American Civil Liberties Union, and hastily passed 45 days after the event in the name of national security to protect everybody. The Patriot Act was the first of many changes to surveillance laws that made it easy for the government to spy on ordinary Americans by expanding the authority of monitoring phone, email communications, collect bank and credit reporting records, track the activity of innocent Americans on the internet. While most Americans think it was created to catch, and I don't want to use that T word, the Patriot Act actually turns regular citizens into suspects. And I want to show you what this does. This was put in 45 days. This was hugely speeded through legislation. Basically what it is, national security letters, phone records, computer, credit history, bank history, at least 34,000 law enforcement and intelligence agents have access to phone records collected through the national security letters. And here's the thing, the Patriot Act prohibits Americans who receive national security letters from telling anyone. So they don't even have to tell us that they're doing this, which totally, I mean, it's all a violation of privacy. And there's one more thing I wanted to share about this. I'm going to leave the link in the description so you guys can take a look at this yourself. But this was put through 45 days. It was really, really quickly put through. And it actually takes away so many of our rights. And a while back, I said we're like a frog in a pot where they keep heating it up and they keep trying to squeeze and keep the control going with us. But I did want to share that is what was passed. Oh, the other thing I wanted to share around what happened is the day before this event occurred, Rumsfeld in Congress asked, he said there's $23 billion. Was it 23? Do you know?
2.3 trillion.
Oh, 0.3 trillion. Oh, that's a little bit.
2.3 trillion, I believe.
2.3, 2.3 trillion. That's right. It was trillion, 2.3 trillion missing out of the US Treasury. This was the day before the anniversary of the event that happened on this day that we're recording happened. And guess what happened with that information? It went bye-bye. It was like, that was, oh, let's look over here now. Let's look over here. So anyway, just wanted to share that. But so Captain Matt, what did you start to think when you started seeing that something wasn't right and something was a bit off? What was your next experience? What was your next part of your journey with this?
My next part was it's kind of stressful, because when you realize things that, and you get enough evidence to know, oh my God, this is true, then you want others. It's like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what I found out, and you try telling people. And that's the hardest part, is the reaction that you get is not very good. Most people will not take the time to do the research, to listen. And unfortunately, it's easier to dismiss you as a nut. I mean, that was unfortunately my experience with most people. There are a few people that kind of started waking up, but very few. Most people, and we're being bombarded by the media, just with the narrative going over and over and over of what happened, and showing there's a reason they show stuff over and over and over, and
Yes.
all controlling our thoughts. It's making us think a certain way, and that is done every day through the well, you didn't want me to use the word, but I would say that the most harmful thing that we have in our house that does the most damage to people, the most harm to people, and that was the television. So that's what
Absolutely.
I consider the most harmful thing that people have in their house, that people that use it anyways, the people that use it on a regular basis, it is a very, very harmful device that people have. Yeah. That so sorry, I'm just trying to be good with the language here.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Television, tell lies to your vision. That's what somebody once told me. I was like, oh, that is, there's a reason why certain things are called certain things. But here's also what I was about television. I'm trying to find like a fun movie, because I don't watch television very often, except for at nighttime. I'll put on a fun movie, and I'm looking and I'm trying to find something, and there's so much darkness. There's so much murder. Even in comedy, I put in the comedy section, the killers was in the comedy section. I'm like, how is this funny? So there's a reason why there's so much darkness and so much death, that it's all over television, and they're wanting to keep us in that lower frequency. One of the last videos I did was about frequency and your emotions. But so when you started realizing that people were thinking you were kind of a nut job, and what happened? You kept going. You wanted to learn more about this information. And then I do want to talk more about I'm just going to say mind control one time, and we're going to use it as MC, or your thoughts. But what did you start to learn about what was happening?
Yeah, so well, I've always been interested in the truth, and I just got more and more interested in the truth. And so I've gone down a ton of different rabbit holes since then, and started questioning everything. If this can happen, if they can do this, then what else? And what else am I? And so I started looking at everything, and with a new set of eyes. And I started uncovering all kinds of things that I used to think were one way, and I realized they weren't. And so I just had to have, I had to, kind of like I do now, I had to have almost two personas. So the one, when I'm out in public and I deal with people that have no clue of any of this is going on, and I talk shallow stuff with them. And then the few people that I can actually talk on a deeper level about what's really going on, what I know to be true, what's really going on. And I just have to live with those two worlds of having those two personas. And if you want to fit in a society and not be seen as a nut around certain people, it's not even worth bringing up. I keep trying, and anybody that's open, because I think the truth is what will set everybody free.
Absolutely.
And that is the most important thing is trying to, because if we're not dealing with the truth, then we're living a lie. And unfortunately, that's what most people are living. So I am absolutely dedicated to the truth and exposing it, but you also have to know when it's better just to keep your mouth shut because some people are just not open to it no matter what.
Yeah, picking your battles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way, and now I don't even care anymore. I remember when I found out and learned that what the truth was around this event. At first I couldn't believe it. I was like arguing with my boyfriend at the time. No way, no way, no way. And then he showed me Zeitgeist. I think I told you, and I'm going to put that in the description because that's the movie that literally blew me away, woke me up, cried like a baby. I literally bawled like someone had died, and it was me who had died. A part of me died because a part of me that thought the world was one way was gone forever after that. Like I can't, what you said at the beginning, you cannot unsee something. You cannot unknow something. And then for 3 days I couldn't get out of bed. I was just really depressed. And then the next day, the fourth day, I was like, what do we do? And there was nothing to do. There was nothing to do because nothing was happening. And if I tried to tell people, I did try to tell some friends and they thought it was crazy. Oh, I know. My mom believes that. She's got her friends that all believe that. And I was just like, and then I tried to talk about the birth certificates, which we're going to be talking about on a different show, on a different interview, but and also in the Freedom School, because just FYI, everybody, starting a Freedom School to let you guys know what we can do and the power that we have when we actually remove ourselves from being enslaved. And that's going to be at standtogetherhawaii.com. Click on join us here. It's just a little button at the top. Join us here. You're going to get emails about that school. And it's just going to be step by step of understanding how to unslave yourself and how to get your power back. And because you have I can never say this word correctly right away first time, unalienable rights from God. The government did not give these rights to you. The Constitution didn't give you these rights. The Constitution is protecting you. And Captain Matt actually let me know about that, with the Constitution protecting our rights, not giving them to us. Is that correct, Captain Matt?
100% correct. That's just, to me, it's another psyop, another form of the control of the mind that we're talking about, because they want people thinking that we have constitutional rights, and we absolutely don't. The Constitution doesn't give any. It does give U.S. citizens, slaves, rights under the 14th Amendment, but we don't want to be that. I'm not that. You're not that. We are living men and women that have unalienable or inalienable. Either way, I've heard, there's a lot of people argue, I think it's fine either way, the two rights that are given by our creator that the Constitution protects. So
and we're going to talk about, if you're going, what is he talking about, the 14th Amendment? I'm not a U.S. citizen. If you're like, what is that? That's going to be on a different interview, because that goes really deep. So like and subscribe to this channel. Please share this video. Super appreciating all you guys who are commenting. And just a little side note, there's so many, I can't get to them all, but I appreciate the conversation and I do try to check them out. So you're on this journey of awakening, and that was what, 2001. That was actually the first time I started my business. And so tell us a little bit more about your awakening journey, because not everybody knows about the birth certificates and understanding that actually makes us even bigger slaves. But when you started to really grasp the depth of the lies that we have been in, what was your take on all of that?
Yeah, so I would say our status being degraded as corporate subjects is probably been the last thing that I learned, other than maybe the earth, what the earth looks like. I would say that that's probably been that's in like the last 5 years. I've been hearing about it, and but I hadn't really known about the whole status part of what's happened to our status up until about 5 years ago. And that is a very confusing thing. So I think your school is going to be great. But I had gone down all kinds of other rabbit holes, the whole the monetary system, and how we're not using real money. We haven't had real money since 1933. The Federal Reserve Bank, private, it's not part of the government. So there's a lot of things like that I'm well aware of and done research on. So just reality is not what we think it is. But so and just trying to live life. I mean, working full time, and I was just very interested in going down, looking at things, like questioning things that didn't make sense. How come, we should be way more advanced than we are? It'd be great if we could get back to our 60s technology when we put men on the moon. I mean, what happened? And it's like,
tell us what NASA says of why we haven't gone back to the moon.
Well, there's I think a NASA employee that mentioned that they lost that technology. I mean, it's laughable. It's unbelievable. So, and then if you look at the lunar lander, you actually look at it, it looks like an 8th grade science project with tinfoil. And I mean, that's literally what it looks like. So it's all laughable, and it's in our face.
And that's part of it. Yeah. And here we have these cell phones. I mean, I remember the first, when I looked at, I can't remember, was it Men in Black? I think it was Men in Black, and they had the cell phone, and it was a big old phone that he had. And now we have these, but yet we're still driving the same type of cars. Did you know, like, what was it? I was watching Greg Braden, and he said that, I don't know if it was the 1960s. I think it was it might have been the 1950s. There was a carburetor that came out that had 90 miles per gallon, that it would allow cars to go 90 miles per gallon. And guess who bought that? That patent for that was the oil company, because they didn't want you to have that. There's a reason why we still drive the same cars, that cancer has the same exact protocol for 100 years, but yet we have these phones, and there's so much information now about understanding what the body is that they really don't want to share with us. I actually shared that in the last video, or the video before that, I can't remember which one. But the actual amazingness, miracle that is of your body and of your immune system, that information, again, they just don't want to share. And the cancer protocol, my aunt transitioned out of her body from cancer, and her diet was made like the regular American diet, processed food galore, nothing hardly. I don't know if she ate organic, and I got really mad at her. I remember getting really mad at her one time because she was on chemo, and the stuff she was eating was so horrific. And I just got mad. I was like, Aunt Terry, why you're killing yourself? This is poison. And for the FDA to approve this stuff, it literally shows that they are not for the health of the human body. They put what did they changed the pyramid, the food pyramid, to have Kellogg crispy treats or whatever as part of a good healthy diet. And I was just like, what is happening here? So I just wanted to, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I want to bring it back around to the reason why we're here.
May I,
so go ahead and pop in.
So I took a couple notes, and I think one of the most important things is at the top of my list is a quote from William Casey. He was the director of a 3-letter agency starting with a C and ending in an A. In 1981, he made this quote: "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false." So that was a direct quote from William Casey, the former director of that 3-letter agency. And then,
I remember hearing
that. And if you guys look at William Cooper was one of the original whistleblowers, and he wrote the book Behold a Pale Horse. And the first chapter in his book is called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. And it's a great chapter, and it explains a lot of what's going on today. Explains a lot of what we're dealing with today, right in that chapter.
So we went into Iraq after that. Can
Yep.
you say a little bit stealthy like why the US did that?
Um, well, they needed to blame um, someone, and they did a bunch of studies, and it was a lot better. The American public were going to actually, wanted a country, wanted to be responsible for this. And
Mhm.
so we went into Iraq, and that was, I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible what happened, but it was,
What we did
and
to that
look at
country.
all the oil companies that were all lined up for it. I mean, it's all, there's always multiple agendas going on at the same time. So yeah, the complex that's militarily industrial type is very, very prominent part of our economy.
Hmm.
So and they're very, wars are very profitable for that
Very.
complex, extremely profitable for that complex. And so um, that's the big part of this. And the news media was just hammering that message
They were.
about WMD and what happened with 9/11 and the Patriot Act, and they were just going overboard trying to get people buy into it when we went into Iraq. So
Yeah.
that's my view of it.
Yeah. So if you're watching this and you're thinking like I was, when this first happened and all of the the victims and the people, the innocent people and the innocent children and also the innocent Americans and the innocent Iraqi people, the children, the wives, the mothers, the fathers, they're just like us. There's a reason why the media portrays other people in other areas of the world to be different and to only look at what would go against the regular American kind of way of life. There's different people around the world, but they're still the same as us. There's still mothers and fathers and sons and daughters and aunties and uncles that just want their children safe. They just want to put food on their table. They just want to love each other. They want their kids to be healthy and happy and laughing, and they want to be living their life and joy. And that's everybody around the world. So when the media is portraying a certain population, this population is bad. No, that's not true. It's like I look at that now, and because like when I went in, even went into church. Well, that night I was crying for our children, but then when this war was happening, I was crying for all people because these innocent kids and these innocent on both sides, the innocent soldiers that are trained and programmed to take orders and to do their job and to send these missiles into towns that kill hundreds of innocent people. So for us to need to be this stealthy on an American company like YouTube is it really says any American company that violates the First Amendment should have their business license revoked and $1 billion transgression fee for each transgression like this, because we have protection of the Constitution for our First Amendment rights of free speech. So that's what this is about, and that is what we are sharing today. And yes, anything you want to say about that, Captain Matt?
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the media really isn't the media. I mean, we call it the media, we call it mainstream media. If you look at how few corporations actually own the mainstream media, it is really the same group of people that were trying to reduce the population, inject us with poisonous substances that own the media. And I'm sure you've seen probably videos where you have all these different news agencies. They say the exact same thing because they get the exact same orders. And sometimes I've seen them where it's pretty funny. They're talking about disinformation, and they're all saying the exact same words because they're reading the same script.
Yeah,
So
I've seen that.
that's what we're dealing with. And while we're on the topic, I wanted to bring up, you probably just heard about the governor of New Mexico. she made a declaration of the governor that she was suspending the First and Second Amendment temporarily or whatever because
Temporarily.
they're an emergency. But to me, it's laughable. And there's a lot of people that get upset, and rightfully so. But at the same time, she doesn't have the authority. My rights don't come from the governor. Those, again, First and Second Amendments don't come, those rights don't come from the government. The government is
Yeah.
supposed to protect those rights. So really, we have to have that mindset of, yeah, we're upset that she's so far off the plantation of where, as a servant, where her mind should be. But the fact that she thinks, or that and that people think that she actually has that right or that power is absolutely laughable, because the government does not give us our First and Second Amendments right. It's there to protect them. If they choose not to protect them, well, then we have a problem with our servants. But it doesn't mean we don't have them. We still have those rights. We have the right to free speech, just like hate speech is another term that they use with for speech they don't like. That is why the First Amendment was actually put in there as a limit on the government, that is protected. Any speech that people don't like, that is protected. We wouldn't need protection for nice speech. So went off a little bit, but I just wanted to mention that. That just happened with the New Mexico governor.
Wow, and that there should be constitutional lawyers like jumping on that case, because you can't. In fact, I just did a video on this, and I'm going to do a screen share. Let me find this link, because Stand Together Hawaii, what happened in the Maui fires, we actually have we actually can put a claim against the governor with the Hawaii State Board of Ethics, and the mayor, and the we can do it from the Maui mayor. We can do it with the Hawaii Board of Ethics. With the police chief, we can do it with the police commissioner. And so, but I want to show you guys this. Because there's, when you're doing something like that, and you might hear my little voice here on this video, but I'm just looking for the link so I can show you what I'm talking about. When you do something like that, where you make a claim against a public servant, and like for the Board of Ethics, which we're going to be doing, if you quote a law that they're breaking, that is way more powerful than not. Oh my gosh, I don't have it in here. Okay, good. I need to put it in here. Oh, I know where it's at. Sorry. It's on standtogetherhawaii.com. So I'm going to go to Stand Together Hawaii quickly, and then I'm going to do a screen share to show you guys that New Mexico person, lady, just violated, besides the Constitution and violating her oath of office. Here's another thing that she violated. Let's see here. This is the U.S. Supreme Court. Move this over here a little bit. Oh, I can't move it. Okay, there we go. U.S. Supreme Court, Justia, and this is number 11. This is a court case that was in 1866 is when this was done. And number 11 here, neither the president nor Congress nor the judiciary can disturb any one of the safeguards of civil liberty incorporated into the Constitution. And this says, except so far as the rights given in suspending in certain cases the privilege of right of habeas corpus. That happens to do with an individual, taking them to court. That doesn't have to do with the Constitution. So neither the president nor Congress nor the judiciary can disturb any one of the safeguards of civil liberty incorporated into the Constitution. So I just wanted to say that, because, and also, you know, a lot of times people, when they hear things like that, oh, the New Mexico, she just suspended the first two for amendments, like our governor, who suspended 7 housing laws 3 weeks before the Maui fires. 3 weeks before the Maui fires, he suspends 7 housing laws because he proclaimed an emergency with no emergency. So you can't do that. So it's this is going to come out, and I think that this is the reason why this is happening, is because this is a time where it's going to keep pushing us. It's going to keep pushing people. How much are you going to take? How much are you going to let them take from you? And when are you going to stand up? You know, when are you going to make a complaint? When are you going to say no? No. I remember when I first went to get gas, and they just had the mask mandate, and I was at Costco, And they're like, this was outside getting gas, and they had the people there. Oh, you need to wear a mask, stand there. And I said, no, I don't. I said, this isn't China. I said, this isn't a communist country. We're not in China, and you can't tell me what to do. And I'm not going to put something on my face that hinders my breathing. That God gave me a mouth and nose to breathe fresh air. And this one guy, I heard this guy over yonder in another pump. You tell him, lady. And then I look at the guy and I go, oh, you're getting too close. You got to be 6 feet away. Aren't you afraid? Aren't you gonna afraid? Are you afraid? And I was like, totally. And this person starts laughing. It was like a big thing. It was a big thing. But that's, how much are you gonna take? How much are you gonna take? So I just wanted to share that. And then Captain Matt, you have more notes you want to share? And
Yeah,
then
I
we're
would
gonna do
love
it.
to. I would love to, just because the control of the mind is such a vast subject and there's so many parts to it. So I would just kind of like to, if I could run through for a couple minutes of things.
You go for it. It's all you.
Great. Divide and conquer. I think we can all realize how they've done that. And you talked about it from one country to another. They divide us left versus right. These are all false paradigms that we need to not get caught up in, because they're pitting us against each other. And as long as we're pitted against each other, we're not going to look up at who's really causing this, what's really going on, who the real enemy is. So this is all under, I mean, this control of the mind is really, this is what this is under, and this is what they're doing. Normalization through acclamation. So they use terms just here. We're talking about laws and rules and what, you always hear them talking in the media talks about our democracy, our democracy. No, it's a republic. It is a republic. And so,
What's the difference? What's the difference?
A democracy is 51% rule. It's mob rule. If 51% want to steal from the 49%, then they can own the 49%. I mean, it's mob rule. That's it. It's mobocracy is what it is. So a republic has checks and balances and keeps everything in balance. And our founders were brilliant in setting it up that way. But
They
the
really were.
opposition has no clue. So fear is being used all the time, because when we're in a state of fear, our higher level thinking, critical thinking skills drop way down. We can't think clearly when we're in a state of fear. So that is another one of their tactics, keep us in a constant state of fear. And then the suppression of information. Okay. Most people on listening to this call that hadn't studied this stuff would be shocked about that third structure that we were talking about that happened on this day in 2001. That happened later on in that day that was not hit by a plane. So
And wasn't it like right next door? It was like,
yeah, it absolutely. And
yeah.
it was the number 7 was so these are things. So the suppression of information, when you own all the media, all the mainstream media, then you can suppress what you don't want out there. So and then repetition. That's how we learn things, through repetition. And so when we're hearing things, when we have that, the most dangerous thing that we keep, that if we use a device in our house and television, and if it's in the background, our subconscious is picking up the repetitive messages that they're putting in there. And that's not getting into the frequencies and the subliminal messages that we actually can't consciously hear, but our subconscious picks up. And they've done that since the 50s. So then also there's the putting in the water system, the fluoride that they put in the water system. Okay.
And people don't realize this. Okay, I want to pop in here. My mom used to work for the dentist, and she got really upset with me when I told her to stop having fluoride in her toothpaste and stop drinking it. She thinks I'm a Looney Tune, but that's okay. But yeah, because what's wrong with the F?
Well, it's the wrong
chemical.
It's the wrong form, and it actually, the Germans used it in World War II in their prisons for prisoner war camps for basically it lowers your IQ and it pacifies. A Harvard study came out several years ago proving that it makes you more docile and it lowers your IQ, and that's how they want us. You're not going to have a lot of resistance when people have a bunch of fluoride and their IQs are dropping and it's making them passive.
And
So
I want to say, and so people, if you're like going, well, Michelle, what do I use for toothpaste? You can use activated charcoal. Do you know activated charcoal is a really great thing? You can just, it's black. It's going to make your mouth black, but rinse it out. It'll be fine. But it will actually kill a ton of bacteria and your mouth will be so much cleaner with that. And it's a natural tooth whitener and it's cheaper.
and then since they're all controlled, the mainstream media is all controlled, and a big chunk of social media is controlled. That's why we're having to play these word games here today. They come up with their own words to use to denigrate, to vilify, such as that term conspiracy theorist that came up. Oh, yeah, sorry. Anyways, that
okay.
one that came out of the Warren Commission after that bad event that happened with John F. Kennedy. And then, anyways, other terms like climate denier, one that George Bush Jr. right after 9/11, one of his famous things is you're either with us or against us. So you're either on board 100% or you're an enemy. That's basically what they were saying. They were giving you two options. Again, another form of mind control.
And don't question, because if you're questioning things, then you're going to be a bad person and you're going to be against us.
And during this last stuff we went through over the last couple of years, you heard all over the media. So I don't really listen to it, but I have friends that would talk about it because I have liberal people that I do things with, and I hear what they say, and they were laughing about these people taking horse dewormer. Oh my God, horse dewormer. They're talking about ivermectin, this drug that's been around, one of the safest records of any drug that's been around 60, 70 years, no problems, and they're vilifying it.
And it won a Nobel Prize. I think it was 5 scientists that created it. And this guy found it because I can't remember the exact how he found it, but there was malaria that was happening and he actually was giving it to the workers or something. And it was actually helping them with actually even malaria. And I've taken it in the horse paste form. I have the tablets and I've taken the horse paste, and there was like, and I'm like, is this dangerous? No, it's not. It's actually not. And it actually, and not only that, but here's the other thing that people don't understand is we have parasites in our gut and in us from so many different sources. People don't realize that
Absolutely.
Yeah, that there's go ahead.
No, 100% agreed. Yeah. And I have too. I did it over the last 2 years. I did it. And I actually prefer the pace, and this is no medical advice I'm just saying what I prefer. So another thing they do is they change the definition of terms. So if you don't know, for instance, the definition, as you well know, Michelle, how they changed the definition of United States. We're talking a corporation, or are we talking United States of America? The company. So they changed the definition of person versus, as a corporation or a living man or woman. So person isn't necessarily all bad, but when they're using it, it's bad because what type of person are we talking about here? If you look at the Internal Revenue Code, if you see the term non-resident alien, you would never think that's you. But if you're a free man or woman and not part of that corporation, then you are a non-resident alien. So these are things where, again, tricks they play, and it's not direct mind control, but it kind of is mind control the way I look at it. I've got a couple patents that I think people might be interested in looking up. There's a ton of patents on this stuff, but one is patent number 6017302, and that's titled Subliminal Acoustic Manipulation of Nervous Systems. And that was date is January 25th, 2000. And then the other one I think is even more interesting is patent number 6509148 B2, and it's titled Nervous System Manipulation by Electronic Fields from Monitors. And I did a little reading on this one. This is from monitors like we're talking through right now, where we can be being manipulated right now, or television screens. So it can alter your behavior, your moods, your thoughts, your emotions. So this is all in that patent. So and then I've got some examples of some of this stuff that they've done, the technology that they have. If you look up Operation Crimson Mist, this was used in Rwanda in '94 between the Tutsis and the Hutus, and it
Oh shit.
further enraged those
That was the
factioning.
genocide. That was the
Yeah,
whole,
exactly.
oh
But
my gosh.
it was enhanced through psychotronic uh, technologies.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what that event was, it was an absolute massacre on both sides. They were chopping each other apart with machetes, and just it was quite. I actually there's a woman who wrote a book about her survival through that, and it was yeah, it was quite horrendous.
Well, and then you read about Havana syndrome. I'm sure that's the same thing. It's described as pain and ringing in the ears to cognitive dysfunction. So, I mean, these technologies are out there.
Mhm.
So the control is vast and it's on so many different levels. It's physical, you know, voice to skull, voice of God. You probably heard about that, where direct to the brain, where you're actually hearing voices bypassing your ears directly to your brain. So that all exists. It's all real, and you can look at the patents on these things. So this control of the mind is absolutely vast, and it's more than we can probably, it's more than
Yeah,
I know. And when I think about the fact that they were doing subliminal messages back in the 50s, like at movie theaters, and they could get people to get their sales go up at intermissions by telling them that they were thirsty or hungry or whatever. So 70-year-old technology did that. Who knows what
yeah,
we're being fed subliminally that we can't eat, and along with on a in a different, both subliminal as well as through frequencies, through the monitors, whatever. So it's all there. And then when you see just the media's potential that we've kind of touched on here, what they do, how they do, and how they're controlled. It's no wonder that people have the thoughts they have, and it's so hard to wake them up. But they
yeah.
have to understand this. They have to have a kind of a defensive mindset and really understand this is what's going on and change their view and really pay attention to what they're listening to, because
Yeah.
they get in an altered state when they're watching television. By design, they get in an altered state, and it makes them more susceptible to being programmed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to share, if you're going, oh my God, what do I do? How do I keep myself safe? Higher frequencies and understanding this, it's really important to know the truth, to see the truth. And as everybody's like, oh, this is the time of enlightenment and all awakening, you know, it's understanding the truth of what's happening. That's why this stuff is this is ending. In my personal view, I feel that this is ending, and that a beautiful new world, it will be showing up. We're it's like a rebirth. It's like a birthing, though. You know, there's birthing pains, and it can get ugly, and it can get painful for you know, we just had the Maui fires, which in my personal, what I know to be true, that was an absolute murder of those people. And the arborist, who, you know, I mean, that almost 400,000 views on that, and he shared so much insight on the fact that wasn't, and you know, very much true, that was not a normal wildfire. So, but here's the thing of what people can do is a higher frequency of raising your vibrational frequency. That's one reason why I do the prayers that I do and the meditations that I do. You know, being a fitness trainer, one thing that I learned, and I wrote a book called End Dieting Hell, which actually is right here. But Captain Matt, what are your views on what I just shared about what people can do?
Oh, it is 100%, and I'm in agreement 100%. They have us at such a low level, and that's why I bring up, and it may sound insignificant, but it's not, because it all adds to it. That's why I bring up the light bulbs. That's why I bring up the 432 hertz. They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. They put us into 440 hertz. So
So share a little bit more about that, because I don't know if we've talked about that on this video.
yeah. So everything has a resonant frequency. If you went out into nature and you were out there by yourself without any electronics for a few days, you would start to harmonize with your environment. But everything that we're doing here, they've outlawed incandescent light bulbs in this country. And incandescent light bulbs are the closest to the sun with the wavelengths, the frequency, the wavelength that are healthy for us. the LED light bulbs are not healthy. They're actually not good for our cells. So, and I mean, it's criminal. So I went and stocked up on a bunch of light bulbs. That is the game I have to play. And in California, they've been outlawed for a few years. So I had to get them from out of state. I would have them sent to a friend and have, so, but now they're gone countrywide. You can't get them incandescent light bulbs anymore. And it's criminal. And most people don't realize, they think, oh, well, that's because they're inefficient or this or that. No,
Yeah.
no, there's a bigger agenda going on here, and they're not good for our health. The LED lights are not good for our health, and they can actually get a lot of information from us through the LED lights, believe it or not. So yeah, it's another information gathering system. And as far as, so you were talking about higher vibration. Yeah. So the foods we eat, everything affects us. And most people have lived their lives at more of a lower vibration because the standard American diet puts them there. And so they don't know what it feels like. Most people, in my best guess, to actually be really healthy. Most people aren't really healthy. And once you get out of and get away from the standard American diet, and you start getting clean and start detoxing, you'll never want to go back. You'll never want to go back. It clears everything up, and it's going to access to, this may be off topic or may want to edit this out, but to me, access to your higher self and creator or spirit or whatever absolutely will increase also the more clean you get. So, and you're going to be less susceptible. You're just going to be able to see things a lot clearer. And to me, life is just much richer, much more enriched by the cleaner I am. So
I love it. Yeah, no, that's so true. And the lower frequency of fear and of scarcity, they want you to live in fear. They want you to feel like you don't have enough, money or whatever it is to live, when you actually really do. The nature of the earth is absolute abundance. And that is, that's the truth of who we truly are. And so I wrote this book in July 2019, End Dieting Hell. It's won 3 book awards. And so that's on Amazon. And basically what that goes over is trauma. Is, I was a weight loss specialist for 10 years, and I don't want to get into that too much. You can look at the book, but it's emotional trauma, and it's understanding that your body actually gets conditioned to the feelings you have every day. So if you're constantly in fear and in scarcity, that actually feels normal. So to get out of it is going to feel uncomfortable a little bit. And that's also why I do the meditation prayers, because it's easier to be guided to help people to raise their frequency. And so we're gonna do that in a moment. But anything else, last thoughts you want to share, Captain Matt?
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo what you're saying. And I have come over this last year, a great friend of mine is into somatics, and I really come to appreciate and fully understand the mind-body connection, and how disease, if dis-ease, how important our thoughts are to our health, and clearing up things we have with our body, how they're so interconnected with our brain in so many ways. So just being having good thoughts. What we think is extremely important. What we say is extremely important. And to me, those are kind of some of the first steps. And then our actions, because our actions are going to be led by our thoughts and what we say, and then how we act. And it's really important, because we can change everything overnight if everybody understood it. Everything would change immediately if everybody really understood this. So
that is so true. That is so true. That was the last video I did too, because so let's get into a higher frequency. So together, and then and you guys watching. So I invite you to close your eyes and just breathe into this body. And notice how you inhale and it expands your rib cage, and as you exhale, it releases and compresses your rib cage. And then notice how your body is breathing itself. You're not plugged into the wall. You don't have batteries. Your heart, you can even put your hands on your heart, and your heart is pumping as it has since before you were born. Your heart was the first organ created in your mother's womb, and it started beating before you were born. and it's pumping a gallon of blood through miles and miles of veins throughout your entire body. And it does that every single moment of every single day. There's billions of processes happening right now in your body without you having a to-do list or having to tell it how or even understand how it's done. It's all being done for you in this present moment. So right now, just sending this body compassion, because only you know everything you have gone through in your entire life that brought you to this present moment. Send it compassion for all of the frequencies of fear and of anger and of confusion. And send it compassion for the frequency, the health, the emotional feelings that have come through and come about because of the crises that are happening around the planet. There's so much love that each person has, we have for each other. And when we feel and we see innocent people who are suffering, it touches our heart. So please giving yourself permission to feel that compassion for yourself first. My favorite quote is from Buddha, and he says, "You, more than anyone in the entire universe, deserve your love and compassion." So right now in this present moment, just give yourself permission to give yourself a break from needing to do things right, from needing to be perfect, and just be the authentic version of yourself in this present moment, and let that be okay right now. And breathing into this human body, feeling the breath open and expand the lungs and releasing. And now give yourself permission to feel that everything is going to be okay, that you are always guided to doing exactly what you need to do next, that you are always taken care of. Because if you're listening to this in this present moment right here, right now, you really are taken care of. You really are okay. You're safe right now. In this present moment, you are safe and you are taken care of. Give yourself permission to feel that frequency in your body, that you are safe and you are taken care of in this present moment. Doesn't matter about your bills, doesn't matter about anything that's happening in the world. Give yourself permission to feel this, to feel safe, to feel that you are taken care of right here and right now. Breathing into that frequency. And let that frequency, in fact, you just don't have to let it, but just acknowledge. Notice, be the observer, that when you feel that frequency, it starts to emanate throughout the limbs of your bodies, your hands, your arms, your legs, your torso, and it starts to go out of your body, of your human body, and starts to resonate with the field of empty space, which isn't empty. This field is a frequency field. Just like fish swim through water, we walk through frequency every moment of every day. We are never away from it. It is touching us. It is the boundary of empty space that we can't see that surrounds us. So as you give yourself permission to feel that you are safe, that you are always taken care of, that frequency goes out into the empty space and starts to surround the room, feeling it expand to all four walls and the roof and the ceiling and the floor. And breathe into the frequency field that you are safe, that you are taken care of, that everything is working out for your highest good. And feel that frequency field go out of your house and start to go down your neighborhood like the wave of an ocean. And it starts to feel, you're seeing this wave go and touch anybody right now who feels alone, who feels scared, who feels angry or confused. And it touches their frequency field and gives them just a little bit of hope that everything's going to be okay. And this wave of frequency of feeling that you are totally taken care of, totally safe in this present moment, goes outside of throughout your town, throughout your province, throughout your state. And you can see it as a bigger, beautiful wave of light, this beautiful light that goes through the entire mainland, the entire United States, Canada, Mexico, over to Europe, Ukraine, Russia, China, Australia, New Zealand, all the Hawaii Islands. It wraps around the planet. And now visualize this beautiful earth, this beautiful Mother Gaia. In Hawaii, we call it Aina, the land. Visualize this whole entire earth pulsating with one frequency of humanity together, that our hearts are resonating, beating as one heartbeat of free living men and women. And it is pulsating out of frequency that we are all totally loved, totally taken care of, that there is a higher power, a source of all things, and this source that is moving the sun across the sky, that is running the tides in the ocean, guiding the honeybees to their next flower, is beating your heart, is breathing your body. This infinite intelligence source has got us covered, that there's a plan and we don't have to know what it is. We don't have to try and guess anything that's happening right now. We just need to trust. Trust in this higher power that's moving the sun, beating your heart, breathing your body. Trust in this higher power that is running the tides and guiding the turtles to come up for their next breath, and guiding the dolphins and guiding the whales on their migration, and the butterflies that travel from New York, some of them all the way down to Mexico. How is that even possible? This source of all things that is germinating the plants in the soil, creating from a teeny acorn, growing to the light and emanating out as a beautiful, huge oak tree. How does that even happen? We don't know, but it happens. This infinite source of all things has a plan. And we trust in that plan as we trust in our own journeys, trusting in our intuition and doing what is the Hawaiians called what is our kuleana, which is what is ours to do, what is mine to do. We breathe into this human body, feeling now the frequency of courage, of inner strength, and of a knowing that we're always guided, trusting in that guidance right now. And breathing into this precious moment, sending so much gratitude to all of the people on the planet, all of the Americans, Canadians, Mexicans, Hindu, Muslim, Russia, China, all of it, everybody, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom people. We just trust in everybody's knowing what is theirs to do and what their journey is. And we don't have to judge them. We just honor each person on the planet, knowing we are beating our hearts together with one humanity of light, of love, of safety, and of the knowingness that we are always taken care of. And we come back into this present moment, breathing into this amazing human vessel, this amazing human body, I should say, wiggling our toes and our fingers. And when we're ready, we slowly open our eyes. Captain Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Michelle. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Awesome. So if you guys want to learn more about the Freedom School, it's not up yet. We haven't started it yet. It is going to be starting to be created, and Captain Matt's going to be helping me with that because he's a wealth of knowledge. Again, standtogetherhawaii.com. Just click on the email, just join my email list, and you'll get the information when that's up and ready. If you're feeling like your body needs a detox and a cleanse, I'm doing my next detox September 27th. It's going to be cleansing heavy metals, parasites, and toxins from the food that you eat and the water that you drink. So you can learn about that in the link in the description. So Captain Matt, any last words? I just totally appreciate you so much.
No, likewise, likewise. We're united in our goals and in our thoughts, and I appreciate what you're doing, and thank you so much for the opportunity to let me try to contribute to what you're doing. So I appreciate it.
Much mahalo. All right, everyone. Aloha. I'll see you on the next interview or next round.